Hey, the Eagles. I have a new review of Steven Universe. This episode is Keystone Motel. And this picks up directly from the previous episode, which I believe we're dealing with a five-part story arc, actually, which is fairly new for this series. Rather than being like a full two-parter like Ocean Gem, Mirror Gem, or Mirror Gem, Ocean Gem. And this episode picks up from the previous episode, which left off with Garnet being very angry at Pearl for screwing around with Fusion just so they could be sardonyx. She's still mad, and she won't talk to Pearl, which is a little hard to tell with Garnet. Like, I guess she talks less to Pearl. But Pearl is doing her best to kind of make it up. She's actually going out and looking for Peridot on her own. But still, Garnet's mad. And when Greg shows up, he has a deal going off across county lines over at the Keystone State. So he asked Steven if he wants to come with and spend the night in a motel, as he has to do this, and Garnet agrees to go, I guess, just to kind of clear the air and get away. The problem is Garnet kind of brings her anger with her, and since she is a fusion between Ruby and Sapphire, we see something amazing. Ruby and Sapphire seem to be disagreeing on how to deal with Pearl. Sapphire wants to forgive and move on and work on it, while Ruby is still pissed off. They're both mad, but they have different methods on how they want to deal with it. And as Greg takes off to take care of his business, Steven watches Garnet split into the two of them, which is interesting. I had a feeling that was coming when I saw her getting more and more aggravated. And boy, man, I've been in that kind of anger. I mean, I've never split up into two lesbian dwarfs, but she does when she's that mad. So Steven this is the first time he's seen them since Jailbreak, and he's trying to, talk to them. He's trying to kind of relate to them, but they're still kind of arguing and bickering how to deal with the Pearl situation. And they can't get back together. They're still just mad. That's when Steven, essentially after incident at the diner, he gets them to kind of talk it out, frankly, because he's just upset, and they've completely ruined the trip with their hostility and their feuding. Which leads up to this really lovely scene where they kind of, talk it out and relate a little bit more, and we get to see Sapphire's eye, which I think many fans, including myself, suspected that she had one eye, and it's a nice touch because you see a single tear come down it in the middle, and then they full-on show us. It's a really nice reveal. And then, of course, they fuse back into Garnet. So the thing is, they get back, and she's still mad at Pearl, but at least she's talking to her, kind of, sort of. And yeah, a whole bunch of stuff going on here. Yeah, the build-up is very funny. Garnet mad is kind of funny, and the scene between, actually, the whole episode essentially is watching Ruby and Sapphire as a couple. We've had the big reveal now. So now we're actually seeing how they relate to each other, and this is interesting. I suspected at some point, if they had a fight, they would, split apart. So it's really cool seeing them kind of deal with each other, and they are written very well. They come across like a long-time married couple who are just kind of aggravated with each other and in a situation they're not particularly fond of. It's really well done, and I gotta say, shout out to Greg. God, I love that guy. He just rolls with the punches so well. It's amazing. he comes home, he sees that, and he's like, oh, right, okay, come out to the van and we'll eat pizza. I love that guy. And of course, there's tiny little moments too, like when they get back, Pearl and Amethyst are talking, and you get the feeling that maybe they're kind of like, she's kind of like maybe like confiding in Amethyst and stuff like that. It's interesting seeing post on the run how they relate to each other. They relate to each other much more openly, which I'm really happy. This show is so well written in the fact that, hey, they had a major breakthrough in that episode, and they stuck with it. They didn't go right back to feuding and bickering all the time. They actually had a character arc in how they deal with each other. Yeah, I'm sure they still annoy each other from time to time, but they seem to understand each other better. So, I mean, that's just a tiny moment. We don't even hear what they're saying to each other, but you get the feeling of that. Oh, God, what a great episode. And I also really am proud of the creators of the show and the network as well as not pulling back on the whole couple thing. I think that's I think that's wonderful and kind of inspiring to see them do that. Networks are really terrified on how to deal with homosexuality and children's media specifically, but you're seeing little changes here and there, and it's going to have to be one of those slow evolutions, or maybe, I don't know, the way things are changing sometimes. You think, well, okay, it's going to be a while since we have a black president, probably another couple, about a decade, and then we have one. It's like, oh, okay, maybe, all right, maybe we're evolving a little bit faster than I thought. So it's wonderful to think, because I may have mentioned this in a previous episode, so forgive me if I bring it up again. I remember in the 90s during the animated Superman series where one of the characters, Maggie Sawyer, is gay, and she is from the comics, but if you don't read the comics and just watch the animated series, you wouldn't think of that until they had an episode where she was put into a hospital and a woman is by her side. And they got away with it because they never mentioned their relationship, and they were pretty vague about it. Now they can be a little more blatant about it, and it's kind of wonderful. So I just love this episode, and I love the way it picks up from the previous one. I'm very curious to see where these next 3 episodes go. As usual, I have no idea. I need future vision to predict what happens in the show, but I unfortunately do not have that. I think that's my feelings for now. Until tomorrow, push the button, Lindsay.